Back when I did the Ben 10 aliens as whatever subscribers requested episode, I did a drawing of Alien X if he was a Super Saiyan. And I remember not totally loving how that drawing turned out. I thought it was okay, but a lot of people liked the idea of doing a whole episode of Ben 10 aliens as Saiyans. So that's what we're doing in today's episode, 4 drawings of Ben 10 characters going Super Saiyan. And here's a weird fact, YouTube's just implemented a thing where you have to hit the like button or else your phone or computer will explode. I thought it was kind of harsh, but I mean, just, you don't want that to happen, so you better just press the like button and then we can get into the video. Did you do it? Okay, let's go. Now, as I was starting into this video, it was originally just going to be Ben 10 aliens, but then it kind of clicked into my head that, oh yeah, the Saiyans are a race of aliens, so technically Ben could have a Saiyan in the Omnitrix. So I thought, okay, we gotta work that in. That would be a super fun drawing, doing Ben himself going Super Saiyan. And it was also a good excuse to try out a pose that I tend to have a lot of problems with, in the past at least. I think it works out decently well here, but you can probably tell that it's not something I practice a lot. That sort of charging up the Kamehameha, or, Ryu from Street Fighter has that same kind of pose when you're just charging up some kind of energy ball and got the two hands holding something between you. It's just the way that the elbows have to bend to get the two hands together and then making it look like the hands are holding something. I've always had problems with that, and I knew I wanted to tackle it and not actively avoid it with this one, and I really like how it turned out in this piece. Quick tip on that topic, if you want to do something like that, or even holding a ball of any kind, a basketball, a volleyball, or anything like that, draw the ball first in the spot you want it to be, and then draw the fingers and hands kind of around it, because it gives you a better sense of the volume instead of just trying to draw the hands and then fitting the thing in between them. That's a tip that's really worked out for me. It's something I learned from, I think Jim Lee mentioned that in a video or something. It's really, really great advice. But anyway, the other thing I knew I wanted to do with this was, in a lot of my drawings, I have a color splash in the background, and for this one I was like, I gotta do the Omnitrix, sort of the symbol of the Omnitrix, bringing us down into Ben. It can almost feel like it's going straight towards the energy ball he's building up in his hands. Originally I was thinking of having a bunch of streaks coming into that energy ball, but then it felt like it was going to get a little bit too messy, so I just thought, leave the ball on its own, I'll put a bit of cool texture into it. And I used that to inform the only lighting in the piece, and I love how that looks. I really love that in a lot of times, and I'll do that with a bunch of different drawings in this video, where there's one very specific light source that's really bright and lighting everything else. I just think it's really cool, and it's a nice change up not having the light just coming from the sky. And then of course I do have a bit of rim lighting coming in from behind him from the green Omnitrix backsplash. But overall, this one was really fun. I think it's a good one to start off the video. Before we start getting into any aliens, here's Ben as a Super Saiyan. Next up, we've got Rath, who's an alien that, admittedly, I wasn't super familiar with, because, as people who have watched past episodes know, I only watched the original series all the way through and have seen some token episodes beyond that, but I think he's such a cool design, like most of the aliens in Ben 10, and a lot of people have asked that I draw him in the past, and I thought this was a good one to jump in on and put him into, because he's a very aggressive, fight-ready character, so giving him even more power just feels like a good fit. And I knew pose-wise, because he's very aggro and muscular and sort of wrestler-inspired, I had to do something where he was charging into a fight. So I like this pose of him holding an energy ball that he's building up in his hands, leaping towards us, and you can see here that I had to redraw the face a bunch of times. I really wasn't liking how it was coming together, so I ended up erasing it, building it in more rigid blocks, and then drawing the pieces on. That's a workaround I do sometimes if I can't figure something out quite right. I do a little bit more tweaking of it later in the drawing to get it better, but overall I like how it ends up turning out, especially the mouth. I really like drawing a character with fangs. I even kind of give some of my human characters a bit of that. Admittedly, that's probably because I got a bit of fangs going on myself, more, slightly bigger than your average person. So I like giving him that big, snarly look where the mouth is a little bit tilted. It's kind of fun, a little bit Humberto Ramos inspired. Got a poster of his up that I'm often looking at while I'm drawing. And then, like with the other ones for this one, I have all the lighting being inspired by the energy ball in his hand, kind of casting all the light and shadows across the piece. And that was a lot of fun. I should do that with a lightsaber drawing as well in an upcoming Star Wars video or something, because I think it just, I don't know, I really, really like that look. And then I also gave him the green hair. Admittedly, I'm basing that more off of what I think will look good for the visual designs than what would make sense canonically, the version of Super Saiyan that they're going. I just, you know, with Ben 10, green is a really good go-to color. Design-wise, I was taking, obviously, inspiration from Ben 10 and from Dragon Ball, giving him a bit of a gi from Dragon Ball kind of look. And then I was also taking inspiration from another image of Rath from a later design of his where he's got more of a wrestler look. And I think the combination turned out really well. So I hope you all like our Rath Super Saiyan. Fun fact, this video was originally going to be Ben 10 aliens if they were in Overwatch, as requested by Archiemundo44. Then it was going to be Ben 10 aliens if they were in Avengers, and I actually did a drawing, but I didn't really love how it turned out. So then we settled on this. But don't worry, those two videos are still definite possibilities for the future. I'm just gonna do a better job than I did on that Heat Blast drawing. I didn't love it. It was okay, it wasn't great. Anyway, now, maybe an ad, you know, if it played at the right spot or if you don't have ad blocker on. And now back to the video. Now, Super Saiyan Cannonbolt. This is one where, going into it, I was like, is this going to be cool or goofy? And I think it ends up being somewhere in between, a little bit of both, but I'm really glad I did it. Cannonbolt's a character who has also been requested a lot, and I've never drawn him on the channel, or I've probably doodled him a bit, but I've never done a full rendered drawing of him. And he was a lot of fun. His proportions are weird, but in a cool way. Something I've mentioned I really like is when a character has big front arms and then really little legs. I think I talked about that in my Inktober videos. But yeah, it's fun drawing characters like this that have proportions that I wouldn't normally draw if I'm drawing a human character or something, especially because this guy is, you know, just a head, or has no head. I mean, it's however you want to look at it. His head is his body. And another thing that's really fun about drawing a character like this, and with a lot of Ben 10 aliens, is they've got large sections of black to them, which can be really good for pumping up the contrast on a character, because you can have a section of really intense total blackness, and then right next to it, some light streaks going through it. And I think that works really well. And with this one, I was glad I kind of planned out where I wanted the shadows to go before I got into the coloring stage, so that there was a bit of a shadow streak going right through his eyes, and then I knew I'd make his eyes kind of bright to contrast with that, and then have shadow on the rest of his body going down below that. And I think that works out pretty well. I was glad I thought that out a little bit ahead of time. And then the other kind of weird thing I do in this one was add a lot of blue to it. I wanted to have a bit of blue and yellow, add a little bit more color, and I tried to make the ball things on his shoulders and hands a little bit brighter towards the energy in his hands, so it's like those glow more as he's charging up an attack. I thought that was a kind of fun idea. I don't love how I drew the ball here as much as some of the other ones, but overall I think this one's really fun, and it's kind of one of my favorites from this video just because it is a little bit odd and out there looking. And admittedly I tweaked this one a little bit after the fact, add a little bit more shading and just push some things around. I think the only change I'd want to make now, besides maybe tweaking the energy ball, is make the hair a little bit wider, because I think there's enough space for it to be a bit bigger. But overall, I really like this one because it's kind of goofy and kind of cool. Last up, I had to do Swampfire for this video, because in that requests video where I was drawing a bunch of Ben 10 requests, as said I did Alien X as a Super Saiyan, but a bunch of people in the comments said that it would have been cool if I did Swampfire as a Saiyan, because especially in his original design, he's already got that sort of Saiyan-y hair kind of look to him. And I dug that idea, so I figured I had to do him for this. I think I'd almost done him in that past video, but just, you know, the idea of Alien X as a Saiyan was so cool, overpowered, ridiculous that I had to go with that. But you know, we're getting to this one now. And it's a fun one to draw. Admittedly, it looks probably the least Saiyan styled of all of them because, you know, Swampfire already had a bit of that look to him. It looks a little bit more like a mashup of Swampfire's original design and his Stage 2 design, but overall, I think it does end up looking pretty cool. I mean, a little bit more boring pose than some of the other ones, but I really like how the rendering goes with this one, because he's got some good sections of black to him, and I think the way that I've been doing my textures lately works particularly well for a character like Swampfire, because, you know, he's supposed to be swampy and mossy and plant-like with a bit of a bark sort of look to him, and the textures that I've been using lately, I think, lean into that nicely. This one probably also turns out the most cartoony of all of them, just because I used slightly thicker inks for the outlines and for a lot of the interiors, but I think especially for drawing Ben 10 inspired or just flat out Ben 10 characters, that works better than in some of my other drawings because, you know, they're cartoon characters. As I usually say, I try to find a bit of a blend between comic style and cartoon style, which I guess especially works out for a Dragon Ball episode because characters from Dragon Ball are both comic characters and cartoon characters, although the style stays pretty consistent between the two. I also like on this one how there's some nice contrast on his face by a large chunk of his face being black, which isn't from either design. I took some creative liberty there, but that combination of the really dark color and then the bright green eyes, I think works really nicely and really draws us up to his face. So I hope you all like our finished version of Swampfire Super Saiyan. Okay, another fun Ben 10 episode all wrapped up. We've got lots more Ben 10 stuff on the channel. I venomized them, I've done a whole bunch of stuff with them. I'll link a playlist of those in the description. And if you're new to the channel and want a really great video to jump in on, last week I put out a tour of 1,000 different drawings and animations from the channel over the last year, showing off a bunch of the best and worst stuff I've made and some stuff that I never even showed. It's a fun tour video through a ton of fun art and animation I've done in the last year. And of course, if you are new, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified when videos are coming out. And that's all for today. I'm Christian Pearson, this has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye, everybody, and thanks for watching.